With Halloween right around the corner, we've gathered some terrifying tales of trick-or-treating gone wrong. These are stories that will send shivers down your spine. Our first tale takes place in a quiet suburban neighborhood where every year families come together to celebrate Halloween. Children eagerly await the night they can dress up as their favorite characters, roam the streets, and collect sweet, sugary treasures. One year, the kids in this neighborhood heard a rumor about a phantom house. It was the house on Elm Street, said to be abandoned for years. No one had ever seen the owner, but the candy bowl on the porch was always mysteriously filled with the best treats. It was too tempting for the neighborhood kids to resist. On Halloween night, a group of courageous kids decided to pay a visit to the phantom house. Armed with flashlights and a lot of courage, they approached the creepy, decaying mansion. It looked abandoned, but there was a dim light coming from one of the windows. The kids knocked on the door, but no one answered. As they hesitated, they heard a voice from inside saying, "Come in, children." Chilled to the bone, they slowly pushed the door open. Inside, the house was filled with cobwebs, flickering candles, and a large cauldron in the center of the room. The kids continued to explore the house, room by room, and in each room, they found more peculiar things. A library full of ancient, dusty books, a laboratory with strange concoctions, and an eerie painting of the owner, which seemed to follow them with its eyes. But that wasn't the worst part. As they were about to leave, they realized that they were trapped. The door they had entered through had vanished, and the only way out was a dark, narrow corridor. They could hear whispers and strange noises echoing through the walls. After hours of navigating the labyrinthine house, they finally found an old key that led them to a hidden passage. When they emerged from the house, they were covered in dust and shaking with fear. They never found out who lived in the phantom house, but one thing was for sure: they would never go trick-or-treating there again. Our second tale takes us deep into the eerie woods, where Halloween night can bring more than just candy and fun. In a small town, there was a legend about a haunted forest. It was said to be the home of a vengeful spirit, and people dared not enter it, especially on Halloween night. But a group of teenagers seeking thrills decided to challenge the legend. They entered the forest, their flashlights cutting through the dense darkness. As they ventured deeper, they felt an oppressive presence closing in around them. The temperature dropped, and the once soothing breeze became a chilling wind. As they walked further, they noticed strange figures lurking behind trees, their eyes glowing in the dark. Terrified, the group picked up their pace, but no matter how fast they walked, they couldn't shake off the feeling of being followed. Suddenly, they heard a blood-curdling scream. One of the teens had fallen into a hidden pit, concealed by fallen leaves and branches. They pulled their friend out, but he was injured and needed medical attention. The group realized they had to get out of the forest, but they were lost. They couldn't find their way back to the entrance. Panic set in as they stumbled through the pitch-black woods. They heard whispers and felt icy fingers brushing against their skin. After hours of fear and confusion, they finally stumbled upon the forest's edge. They emerged from the trees, battered and terrified. They'd survived the haunted forest, but they would forever remember the horrors they encountered that Halloween night. Our third story takes us to a supposedly haunted mansion that was known to locals as the House of the Headless Ghost. The House of the Headless Ghost was a decaying, ancient mansion with a gruesome history. It was said to be haunted by the spirit of a headless woman who roamed its halls. The story goes that on Halloween night, the headless ghost would appear to anyone who dared approach. A group of friends, curious and skeptical, decided to investigate the legend. Armed with their costumes and flashlights, they headed towards the mansion. The moon was shrouded in mist, casting eerie shadows on the decrepit building. They entered the mansion through a creaking door and started exploring room by room. The air was heavy with a sense of foreboding. As they went deeper into the mansion, they noticed strange markings on the walls and bizarre symbols etched into the wooden floors. The tension in the group rose with each room they entered. They could hear faint whispers, and the temperature dropped rapidly. Suddenly, the air seemed to come alive with a ghostly presence. They saw her, the headless ghost. She drifted toward them, her face obscured by long dark hair and her neck a gaping wound. The friends screamed and fled the house in terror, but the apparition followed them. They ran through the moonlit streets, the headless ghost trailing behind. They stumbled upon a church, and the ghost recoiled at the sight of the holy place. The friends took refuge in the church, safe from the vengeful spirit. From that night on, they had no doubt that the House of the Headless Ghost was truly haunted. It was a Halloween experience they would never forget. Our fourth story takes us to a spooky old cemetery, where the line between the living and the dead blurs on Halloween night. In a town with a long history, there was an old cemetery where generations of residents were buried. Legends had it that the spirits of the dead would rise from their graves on Halloween night, seeking to roam the world of the living once more. A group of adventurous teenagers decided to test this legend. They chose the darkest, most isolated part of the cemetery to set up a spooky Halloween hangout. With candles, costumes, and a Ouija board in hand, they intended to communicate with the spirits. As they started their seance, the temperature dropped and the candles flickered wildly. They felt a presence, something unseen and malevolent lurking around them. The Ouija board started moving on its own, spelling out ominous messages, and then, as if from nowhere, a dense fog rolled in. They could hear whispers in the mist, and shadowy figures began to emerge from the gravestones. Panic overcame them as the spirits drew nearer. They attempted to leave, but the exit was shrouded in fog. It seemed they were trapped with these restless spirits. In a final act of desperation, they tossed the Ouija board away, and the spirits vanished, leaving them shaken and terrified. The teenagers learned a valuable lesson that night, that some legends hold true, and it's not wise to tamper with the world of the dead on Halloween, or any other night for that matter. For our fifth and final story, we venture into the heart of the city, where Halloween takes on a different, more dangerous form. In the heart of the city, where towering skyscrapers overshadow the streets, a different kind of Halloween experience awaits. The story begins with a group of friends heading to a massive, crowded Halloween party in a downtown club. The city was known for its extravagant Halloween celebrations, where the streets were filled with people in elaborate costumes. But as the night wore on, the atmosphere began to change. In the midst of the revelry, one of the friends noticed a mysterious figure in a hooded cloak lurking in the shadows. The stranger never removed their hood, and something about them felt off. They had an air of foreboding. As the night went on, the group noticed the cloaked stranger drawing closer. They brushed it off at first, attributing it to the crowded streets, but the stranger seemed to be targeting them specifically, always staying just within their peripheral vision. Growing uneasy, the group decided to leave the crowded street and take a shortcut through a dark alley. But as they turned the corner, they found themselves face to face with the cloaked stranger who had been following them all along. The stranger spoke in a whispery voice, asking them cryptic questions and making unsettling remarks about their futures. The friends were terrified and tried to flee, but the stranger blocked their way. Just when it seemed they were trapped, a police officer patrolling the area came to their rescue. The stranger vanished into the shadows, leaving the friends shaken and bewildered. The group realized they had narrowly escaped a dangerous encounter. It was a Halloween they would never forget, a reminder that even in the midst of festivities, it's crucial to stay vigilant and look out for each other. And there you have it, folks. 5 spine-tingling trick-or-treating gone wrong stories that will surely give you chills. Thanks for joining us on this creepy journey. If you enjoyed these tales, don't forget to give us a thumbs up and subscribe for more bone-chilling content.